Hi, I'm Laura Cooper, and I am a criminal defence lawyer who specialises in representing children. And I'm also director of the Youth Justice Legal Centre. I don't know if anyone here is in the youth justice, works in the youth justice system or is a youth justice professional, but the Youth Justice Legal Centre was set up to address the urgent need for children in the criminal justice system to get better outcomes. And we do that through providing resources and training all over the country to youth justice services and lawyers to try and upskill them and give them all the resources and everything they need to try and get better outcomes for children. And we also have, which I'll talk about briefly at the end, a national advice line. And that is for anyone that has a youth justice question and the needs to speak to a youth justice specialist lawyer, and we do that for free, and we do that to any professional, any child, any lawyer, anyone that has a youth justice question, and we can really provide a bespoke response and support the professional or the young person that's at risk of or going through the criminal justice system. So I'm really passionate about getting it right for children who do find themselves in the criminal justice system, because more often than not, they're there because they've been failed by a service or adults along the way. And importantly, in all of my years of legal training, I didn't have any training on how to represent a child. And there is no requirement in law to become a lawyer to have any specialist training before representing a child in a criminal court. And, unlike in being a doctor or something else, where you have to specialize, there's no mandatory requirement. And I really think that's not good enough. And it's, there's certainly no requirement to have any training in how to represent a child that's been through the care system. And I think Alfie articulated it really well today, why you need people that are specialists and why you need people that care. So what am I here to talk about today? Well, I'm here to talk about the over-criminalisation of children in care and what the Youth Justice Legal Centre the work we've been doing to try and reduce that. And you can see from the slides up here that the statistics and the headlines that the issue is pretty stark. So the children that have lived in care are 8 times more likely to have a youth caution or conviction than a child who has not. And shockingly, a study that just came out very recently, it was the largest ever study of care experience, ethnicity in the youth justice system in England, revealed that just 1% of children in England were in care, but 59% of children in custody in England and Wales were care experienced. And it also revealed even greater disproportionality when it comes to care experienced black children. For example, the custodial estate, custodial sentences are almost twice as common among black and mixed ethnicity care experienced children compared to white care experienced children. And it really doesn't have to be this way. The high levels of youth justice involvement among care experienced children is not an inevitability. And I really think that law and policy for care experienced children can be used to achieve better outcomes. But to do this, we really need to understand why they're being over-criminalised. So here on these slides, you can see some of the reasons from the voices of the children themselves. And we've talked a lot today. There's loads of things that is really obvious. Is that obviously children in care or care experienced children have experienced much higher levels of trauma and mental health. And these are really important factors in context in terms of their behaviour and should be really hugely mitigating factors in the criminal justice system. Again, much higher levels of mental health and needs and neurodiversity that is undiagnosed when they get to the criminal justice system stage. And 4 in 5 care experienced children who receive a custodial sentence have a special educational need. But essentially, care experienced children are more likely to be in situations where they come into contact with the police than those that are not. There's more call-outs, we know, from carers and staff at care homes and than they would be if they were in the family setting. So as a criminal lawyer myself, I spent many years being at the police station with children that had been arrested and that was in a police cell for minor incidences in the care home, and it's incidences, for instance, a boy who just wanted to get to the telephone to ring his dad. He was missing him. He tried to push past a staff member, and he was arrested, for pushing the staff member to get to the telephone to speak to his dad. And then he spends a night in custody, and the police then want to give him a caution or conviction. And so it's our job as lawyers to say why they shouldn't be getting that caution, why they shouldn't be being criminalised for that behaviour and for that incident. And not only that, research tells us that police cells are extremely traumatic places for children. The police guidance even acknowledges it itself, that these are places that children shouldn't be unless it's an absolute last resort. And I know from my work that's just not the case. There's thousands of children are kept in police cells and kept in police cells overnight every year. So can you imagine what it feels like to be a child in care that, as we've talked about, we've heard today, feeling unloved by the people that have called the police on you, and then criminalised for acting out at your situation, and then you're in a police cell, no clock, no phone, nothing, and the damage that causes to children that have already been through so much. And this context is really vital for those working in the criminal justice system, so the police, the Crown Prosecution Service, the courts, defence lawyers, and for how and why they're coming to be criminalised, and everyone that's working in that sector really needs to understand that. So this is, over the last couple of years, the Youth Justice Legal Centre has developed guides on youth justice issues that are relevant to children. So we do lots of guides for lawyers and other professionals on things, a variety of topics: child criminal exploitation, we've heard today, trauma-informed lawyering. And our latest guide that we have developed, and we developed that together with a number of charities and lawyers and care-experienced children, a guide representing care-experienced young people to try and reduce the over-criminalisation of children in care. And it takes lawyers through the key things to counter the disadvantage they face. And really, the aim is to really turn the dial away from these appalling statistics. And it does two things. One, throughout, is the voice of care-experienced children and adults to understand why it's so important. And it really talks about how they're processed through a system that they don't understand, and that people don't, and the people in it don't understand them, that are processing them through it. And second, what lawyers and other professionals must do to change the situation. So none of it is rocket science. It's things like what lawyers need to know about a child's care experience, what the legal duties are owed to children, and tips for achieving better outcomes, highlighting things such as adultification. And in the sort of busy, overstretched world of criminal legal aid and criminal legal aid cuts, these things really take time, and they take care, and they take attention, and that's why this guide's so important. And as we've heard today, children really, really need to feel listened to and believed and fought for. And that's a lawyer's job. It really, really needs to be aware of that. And I just wanted to finish on this quote from a care-experienced young person who helped bring the guide to life. And she spoke at the launch of the guide, which we launched in the Houses of Lords last month. And I found her words to be quite powerful, so I wanted to finish on that. 2 weeks after I was born, I was taken from my mother in hospital and taken into foster care. By the age of 10, I had lived in Bristol, Wigan, Scotland, Preston, and then London. Imagine growing up and having no parents, no family home, and even the name you were born with taken. Knowing that you can't really build relationships because you don't know where you're going next. Being put in homes where the kitchen gets locked at certain times, and every time you go to a friend's house and don't tell your carer where you're going, the police are called. Unfortunately, this is the lives of many children in care, and decisions being made out of their control, and decisions that are made that don't work in their favour. And she finished her speech by saying, lawyers are often the last line of defence, the last glimmer of hope, and they shouldn't have to be. If we all work together and raise awareness, we can help prevent the criminalisation of children in care. So I just was finishing there, but I just wanted to mention that obviously we have our advice line, we provide resources, and we do training all over the country to both lawyers and other professionals, but to those that are not in the legal system, to give them an overview of the youth justice system, and that's something that we're able to provide. And again, just be aware that we do have a free national advice line, so if anyone needs to use that or wants to contact us, you can just get in touch with me. Thank you.